G'day guys and gal. With Space Marines taking up so much of the limelight, more often than not, Guardsmen are seen as fodder and chaff. Brave men and women who can push themselves to perform acts of greatness, but often those great acts are stuff even no-name Space Marines do on the daily. They're generally just seen as a massive tier below the Space Marines and only seem to shine in books that have no Space Marines in them. But that isn't all Guardsmen. There are specific Guardsman regiments that are genuinely a tier above the rest. Special forces, you might say, with these Guardsmen being known to often match up to and even kill enemy Space Marines. In many situations, these special force regiments can perform missions that Space Marines cannot, owing to their greater infiltration and subtlety of not being an 8-foot tall power armored super soldier. Before we get started, Friday is the best day of the week, cause A, we don't have work tomorrow, and B, we're releasing the next major mini baby. It's actually 3, featuring the Dark Satans. A squad of 3 elite warriors, the best of the best that mortal men can be. They're all about deadliness and style. One of them coming with a polearm, another with 2 knife guns, and the final with a sword and a gun. They scale around Guardsman size, a bit shorter and less bulky than a Space Marine, but with some pretty insane detail. It's going to be awesome seeing these guys painted. That actually concludes all the releases that were offered to the Big E purchasers early. From here on out, no one actually knows what major minis are coming next. Well, I mean, I do, but you don't. Very exciting. As a recap, this year we have released the Captain of the Flaming Dragons, the Sorcerer of Blood, the Golden Dreamer, the Grey Slayer, a bunch of Space Egyptian robot models, a new Xenonid, the third head of the Hydra, and now the Dark Satans. All of which are currently available alongside dozens of other models at majorminis.com.au. Link is below. All orders above $75 USD ship for free. Today we'll go over each of the different Guardsman special forces to show that just because you aren't a big ass demigod super soldier with a limp dick doesn't mean you can't clap some serious cheeks. Let's get into it. Now to clarify what I mean by a special force, since every Guardsman regiment could be considered a special force, I'm specifically referring to the regiments that are a genuine tier above the rest, or are designated as special forces for an existing regiment. To make this point, let's start with the Kasrkin. Don't shoot me, I know that's not how you actually pronounce it. The elite Guardsmen of the Cadian regiment, who themselves are already top tier. The Kasrkin were unique in that they had literally zero morale issues, able to remain extremely calm even if neck deep in alien shit or getting spit roasted by demons. It also helps that they receive significantly better gear than normal Guardsmen, including hell guns, which are like las guns but can actually hurt things, carapace armor instead of flak armor, and they also receive various genetic modifications and augmentations, giving them increased pain tolerance, strength, endurance, agility, and so on. They are also gene coded to be unable to perform friendly fire on high value allies. If a high value ally, let's say their captain or an Inquisitor or something, strays into their crosshairs during a fight, the Kasrkin will be unable to fire. Like he or she's finger physically will not be able to close on the trigger, even if they aren't aware that the ally is in their sights. This means they are fantastic for guarding VIPs, as if the VIP gets attacked, the Kasrkins can unload around the VIP with no fear of hitting them. Like one of those plot armor scenes where the good guys are getting surrounded and then bullets fly around them from allies that show up at the last moment and somehow none of the bullets actually hit them. The Kasrkin are officially designated as grenadiers, so are famous Imperium wide for their skill with blowing up bitches, often using their grenades in incredibly creative ways. Becoming a Kasrkin is incredibly straightforward, you just gotta get good. Any Cadian shock troop who proves themselves during their training can be chosen to then apply to be a Kasrkin and attempt to endure their significantly more rigorous trials. A lot of you have probably heard the term Tempestus Scions, which sounds like a dope-ass elite regiment, but is actually the high gothic term for stormtrooper. Now I could get into the fact that stormtrooper is just a term for the elites of all regiments, but that also isn't entirely accurate. So let's just say for simplicity's sake that the stormtroopers / Tempestus Scions are indeed their own elite regiment, which they pretty much are. The stormtroopers are the most common elite Guardsman type. This is because a stormtrooper can be taken from any Guardsman regiment or any world and then put through the training to become a stormtrooper, in which case they will be assigned away from their original regiment. More commonly though, these stormtroopers were taken as young, promising men and women and then put into the Schola Progenium, basically the Imperium's elite college for the talented, who then go on to end up becoming a commissar or an inquisitor or a stormtrooper. The stormtroopers share many similar qualities with the Kasrkin, although they aren't quite as good. Yeah, they have their carapace armor, hell guns, high tier heavy weaponry, you name it. But funnily enough, while the Kasrkin are universally admired, stormtroopers are often mocked and looked down on by other Guardsmen due to jealousy over their superior gear, seeing them as rich kids who were given their lot in life. This is probably because the stormtroopers were often from families connected with the Schola Progenium, while the Kasrkin were taken from all walks of Cadian life. But I mean, the stormtroopers are deadly as fuck, rich boy or no, with them time and time again proving themselves. As a bit of a side grade from the stormtroopers, we now have the Inquisitorial stormtroopers. If a particular stormtrooper, who comes from a trustworthy, reliable family line, shows themselves to be unwavering and unbreakable, then the Inquisition may recruit them to serve as an elite troop or bodyguard. Because the Inquisition can't just trust any retard to help guard the black ships or help track down a heretic, having a secret army of elite, faithful, and reliable troopers is great. There just isn't enough Sisters of Silence to fully crew all the black ships, nor is there enough Inquisitors to assault every heretical cult or stronghold. So the Inquisitorial stormtroopers are great at filling in the gap. They don't need to be creative, innovative, or masters of infiltration like the other elite regiments do. They just need to not get a boner whenever they have to go put down a Slaneshi cult. They literally just do whatever the Sister of Silence or Inquisitor says, and they do it well, which more often than not they will. While a lot of other regiments have a lot of politics and ceremony regarding who gets to join their special forces, the Death Corps of Krieg are hilariously straightforward and simple. It's basically like, "Oi, Gary, good work killing that Cornite Berserker with your shovel, mate. This is the 8th bayonet charge you've survived today. You are now a Death Corps Grenadier. Congrats, mate." And then Gary says, "Oh fuck," because 8 out of 10 Kriegsman Grenadiers end up dead soon after their promotion. The Grenadiers are shown to be highly skilled and inventive warriors, so are given better gear, more grenades, and assigned into elite Grenadier squads for a period of time. You know how some Krieg art has them just with a gas mask, and then others have them with a metal skull mask over their gas mask for protection? Well, it's not just the artist feeling spicy. The metal skull masks indicate the Grenadier elite. Interestingly, the role of Grenadier is actually temporary, and not just because they mostly die. If a Kriegsman survives long enough as an elite, they will be returned to their original squad. However, generally with a significant promotion and a lot of respect. But yeah, as I said, 8 out of 10 of them don't get to enjoy that part. Not to be outdone, the other Giga Chad Guardsman regiment, the Catachan Jungle Fighters, also have their own elite division, called the Catachan Devils, named after the deadliest creature on their homeworld. Unlike all other special forces, the Catachan Devils don't get new fancy gear when they join the elite. It's entirely based off their own skill and merit. In fact, there's pretty much no cosmetic difference between a devil and a standard jungle fighter. The Catachan Devils are used as infiltration squads, vanguards, or scouting teams, warriors who have the skill to get in, complete the mission, and then get out, or just cause havoc until the main jungle fighter force arrives. It's said that their senses and instinct is so well honed that they can naturally detect enemies who are wearing cloaking devices. Dudes are just straight up built different. The most famous of all Catachan Devils is Sly Marbo, a legitimate one-man army who is so over the top with their feats of power that it makes Caldor Drago look like Stephen Hawking without the high IQ. When you get a regiment of legitimate Rambos and then you get the elite version of that, you know it's going to be spicy. Now it's time for my favorite on this list, something that may look a bit familiar. We have the Lucifer Blacks. The Lucifer Blacks could even be considered to be a step above other elite regiments, each one being a full-on special agent within themselves, able to work together or independently. They were used as bodyguards for the rich and powerful, just as much as a symbol of status as a practical guardian, due to how rare they were. No one really knows how one becomes a Lucifer Black, and with how highly trained they are, it's no wonder that there isn't many of them around. As a cool fun fact, when Alfarius turned traitor, he had his fleet destroy their Imperial Guardsman elements. At the height of this betrayal, Alfarius was confronted with a squad of Lucifer Blacks. They charged him, and while he did manage to kill them all pretty easily, one of them actually managed to get through Alfarius' guard and stabbed him, drawing blood. Alfarius responded, "That's all you get," before slaying the warrior. The Lucifer Blacks have since been rebuilt into the current setting, and they work with the Custodian Guard to act as secondary guardians of the Imperial Palace. They man the outer defenses, taking out thousands of potential threats before they even reach the attention of the Custodians, allowing the Golden Banana Boys to spend their time and energy focusing on the more significant threats. And lastly, these guys aren't technically a special or elite force, but with the amount of shit they've pulled off, I'ma give it to them. The Tanith first and only, the Gaunt's Ghosts. Tanith was an Imperial world that had begun raising its own regiments. However, as they were finalizing this, a Chaos fleet attacked, destroying the world and killing most of its guardsmen, leaving only a few thousand surviving. Their leader, Commissar Ibram Gaunt, was like, "Nah, fuck that noise, let's get this bread," and using his now highly motivated force, turned them into an unstoppable weapon that has been reaping vengeance against Chaos ever since. Due to their low supplies and small numbers, they became exceptional at covert guerrilla warfare. They move like phantoms, which got them the moniker of Gaunt's Ghosts. Despite only numbering a few thousand or even less after they suffered a lot of casualties early in their career, they fought as if they were an army of 1,000,000, time and time winning against insane odds. There was even a scene where Gaunt and his elite squad were ambushed by Chaos Space Marines, and I shit you not, all Chaos Space Marines were killed with 0 casualties casualties on the side of Gaunt and his mortal troops. If that doesn't make them elite, then I don't know what does. The regiment as a whole is elite, although they do have their own special scout units, which are considered to be the special forces of the Tanith First and Only, which might go some way to explaining how they managed to win a Chaos Space Marine ambush with 0 casualties. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Dark Satans. 3 models in 1 purchase, can't go wrong. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more special content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.